Hello and welcome to the 43rd edition of Randomer Nintendo. I am your host for today. I will be taking you through our journey. I am Jason, and with me I have, fresh off the Expo circuit, as in the convention circuit, we have Angel.
That's me.
And fresh off a bunch of TV shows that have B and the in the title, we have Kevin.
The boy.
He is the boy who watches The Boys and The Bear. Yes. And since our last time we've all been together, guys, we've had a changing of the seasons. Spring became summer, and video game news season has fully become convention season. E.M.M.I just happened, which Angel you were at, and in a couple of weeks, Kevin and I are off to Comic-Con in San Diego. So it's, as the days get longer and warmer, the legs get more tired as you do more walking, as you walk around conventions. But how are you guys doing before we get into all that? What's new with you guys?
I am sweating my balls off in my room. Our circuit breaker here at my house, you can't have the AC or the washing machine and dryer running at the same time or else power goes out. So I might lose power at some point today during this recording, so that'll be fun. So just
gotta keep everyone on their toes.
Just keep tabs on the voice chat.
Okay. Yeah, it's important. It's important always to have an element of surprise in every episode to keep us, eager and engaged. So nothing's a surprise like you just disappearing. I will say, to your point though, it is quite hot in LA right now. Yeah, it was like 85 degrees the other day. That was toasty, and my AC is not working so great anymore, so that doesn't help either. But Angel, how are you doing? Are you nice and cool?
Yeah, I can't say heat has been an issue on my end. Even though I was at Anime Expo the last 4 days, that's pretty much just been my life for the last couple days. AC was surprisingly pretty good in the convention center. I don't remember that's always been the case, but that was fine. And
there was one year it was very stuffy in there.
I just think definitely in Artist Alley. I know that place it can't get notoriously warm, but it was.
Is it because
it's
so
over the convention floor
only section,
specifically Artist Alley?
Yeah, because that place is just a parking lot. It's literally just a parking lot.
You mean the one downstairs in Cantina or whatever it's called? Yeah, no, that does get hot. There is no ventilation down there.
Yeah, and because they have the booths way more compact next to each other, it tends to be a bigger problem, but it was better this year. Not completely resolved, but I guess for some added context, Artist Alley, Kentia Hall is typically where you'll find all the independent artists, all of that content in their own little booths. You'll find things from prints to custom figurines to mats to carpet, pretty much whatever. It could be almost anything because it's just whatever they bring in. You could have anything from small up and coming people to established people like R.J. Palmer, who you may know from being one of the consulting people in Detective Pikachu, who's just there every year.
Oh, yeah, he does the art.
Yeah, he does.
He had art.
He does a lot of good art.
Exactly what you're talking about.
I've been a fan of his Godzilla, Monster Hunter, and Pokemon art, and he does tend to cross over from time to time in very great ways. He'll make Godzilla characters look like they were reimagined by official Pokemon artists, or he'll reimagine Pokemon as Monster Hunter monsters, or just cross over, making as if one went to the other universe for a little vacation. So that's great. And the only thing about the Artist Alley this year is that you could tell they did more of a push to, I guess it was a double-edged sword. A lot of booths that would normally be in the exhibit hall are now in Artist Alley. Almost like the front section. Or I guess you could say the entire right section of Artist Alley is now just things that used to be up on top.
Is that
Like,
because up on top got more crowded with bigger brands, so they had to move
no,
the smaller brand?
no.
No. Hmm.
Hold your horses.
Okay. Holding.
Yeah, like up there, I think used to be the 18 and over section, and essentially just a bunch of other brands like, Copic, a bunch of markers, Secret Labs, the chair brand people, and a couple others. But basically, there are less booths at the exhibit hall. Instead of just filling it in with other booths, they just embrace the fact there are fewer of them, and as a result, it felt more spacious to walk around, and it never felt stuffy.
Oh, that's nice.
It was nice. Like, it felt like you were able to finish going through the exhibit hall a lot faster. You never really felt like you were getting in anyone else's way. That felt like a great improvement, but it did unfortunately come with the interesting price of making Artist Alley feel like exhibit hall spillover and everyone else. But at the same time, it did give it a lot of variety, which just made it feel like just an extension of it. So if anything, now they need to put more thought into how to re-represent this area. And I don't know if they served drinks there last time, but they did this time. The first time we went down there, we just walked and zigzagged, and we're like, damn, this is kind of exhausting because, it's also a parking lot. The lights are a lot lower. It's not an exhibit hall. It's not designed for that. It's just what they're making use of the space so they don't have to relocate its Anime Expo. But we did notice at the end of the day that they did have like a drink cart. So the next time we went to Artist Alley, we had some drinks and they allow you to walk around with
Like
them.
alcohol?
Yeah.
So it's like Anime Expo Vegas? That's kind of neat.
Yeah, and that
Open container.
made it pretty fun. It was pretty fun. Not to mention like hanging out at the beer garden earlier, before they started blasting the original music, basically the live performers, when it was just like the playlist or the DJ. Like, that was really nice and chill. Also, the Ichiban market, as they call it. Also another place where you get drinks and food, and they have some other types of comfy chairs there. Like, pretty much, there's no shortage of just places just to chill and hang out, which was really, really great. Oh, and not to mention, I think this year was when they introduced they call it the Shibuya crossing, which is basically just this year, which in the beginning did make it a little weirder to figure out the parking situation, which was then figured out and made really easy every other day after. But they essentially closed off the entire middle street that used to cut through West and South Hall. Usually traffic can just flow through there.
Wait, they closed an actual city street completely? The one, I know what you're talking about, the one with the walkway that goes over it. Indoor walkway above it, right?
Is it? Like, I mean,
Like,
it splits the West and South Hall down the middle. Like, normally
and you
like, I waited for
Ubers
Ubers on that street before. But, yeah, that whole section is just closed off. Not obviously, only as far as the convention center extends. Like, it doesn't go to the street beyond that.
Yeah, like it doesn't spill across Pico, yeah.
Which
or not Pico,
ended up being super nice because now you have essentially a giant food court and you have even more food options, and they also have a bunch of tables there, and it just made another nice chill area to relax in the morning. So very, very fun, very nice. A lot of options. We had a lot of food, lots of purchases were made. Even the Ghibli store, I think when you went last, Jason, the Ghibli store was just like basically a booth, and it just had all the merchandise behind a counter, and you just tell them what you want, and they give it to you.
And they had that little cat bus thing you could pose with.
Yeah. So the cat bus thing is still there. I think I don't remember when you went if it was just like a board standee.
It was,
but now it's
sort of. It was a fully built thing, but it wasn't the length of a real bus, obviously.
Oh, obviously. Okay, yeah. So at one point, I think maybe this was the year before that. Then they did have it was just like a plywood standee that just had you just stand behind it. But this time it's like a bus you can actually like get inside. But it's obviously not full size, but it's all fuzzy and soft looking. But they do have a full size one in Ghibli Park in Japan. If you ever go there.
Oh,
but
Good to
which
know.
is actually
Good
pretty
to
cool.
know.
But yeah, now the Ghibli store is pretty much an entire enclosed area that you could like walk into. It's almost like they took the square footage of probably one of the stores in Japan because the stores aren't that big. But I'm trying to like I just imagine the space Nintendo used for Link's Awakening that one time at E3.
Okay, this is a very specific reference that like 8 people total in the world will know what you're referencing.
I don't
Yes,
know.
yes, the
Yeah,
demo area that they dedicated to like it. I get what you're saying. It's like I don't even know how you would measure it.
I don't know,
But,
like
yeah, it's not
200 by
huge.
400 feet. I don't know.
I'm not good with.
I have no
with
idea.
measurements like that.
But essentially,
But
it felt like a full size store that you would find in like a little strip mall. Like,
right.
oh yeah, actually, it's like a little smaller than your average GameStop. There you go.
There we go. That's a good reference. Yeah.
Okay, for those of you that so go to GameStop. So yeah, it was.
And for those of you who have no idea what Angels talk, E.M.M.I Expo, Los Angeles Convention Center, Los Angeles, California, United States of America, planet Earth. There, all the context needed.
Yes, biggest I think anime convention at least in the
world.
west side.
Is it
maybe
in
the
I think it's in the right. Like it's huge. Like
yeah.
in terms of foot traffic, in terms of
Yeah, and I think as far as like it's like the Comic-Con for the anime world,
yeah.
where it's like if you would expect some big announcements to come out of this place if you're following certain specific things. But
and big announcements they had. Pac-Man is in Gundam Breaker, and they had a press conference with the 2 mascot like costumes side by side. And I was like, this is the thing that happened.
Yeah.
Big news.
I mean, outside of that, I bought a bunch of CDs. Pretty much, I bought the soundtrack to Tales of Grace, Tales of Xillia, Tales of Symphonia, as well as a bunch of Japan CDs, a soundtrack to this first season of Demon Slayer, a couple others that I'm blanking out on, and some figurines from like The Boy and the Heron, and a giant Emmy from Metroid Dread, and a
Wait, what?
Metroid
Hold on. You just glossed that over. What do you mean a giant Emmy from Metroid Dread? Like a
and
first
a bunch
figure?
of birds, a bunch of random Gachapon.
Wait, no, stop. Whoa, pump the brakes.
That was
pump
it.
the brakes.
Hung
pump
out
the brakes.
with some friends the whole time. Got up like at 5, chilled in the line for a little bit. Re-downloaded Hearthstone and then uninstalled it after the convention was over because I don't need that in my life anymore. And
that's like, I'll just do a hit while I'm out partying. Sure. Wait, but pump the brakes. What?
Yeah, and it was
Emmy
fun just hanging out
about?
with them buddies, and yeah.
But
so looking forward to next year, and that is all I am going to say about that.
No,
but the Emmy.
The day that Elvis was there, he said that he saw the statue that I thought was one that you got. Maybe you never got a statue, but you think you sent me a picture of one maybe that you were considering getting? Or maybe that was a figurine that he saw.
I think it was a figurine from Tamashii Nations.
Wait, so did you get anything?
I bought that huge statue.
Okay, I think that confused them, and it got wires were crossed. Okay, yeah, surprisingly, I mean, there were like some little drills on necklaces, but I wanted it to be made out of metal. I didn't want it to be made out of plastic.
They were all made out of plastic. Man, the one that I got back in the day was that one was metal. Yeah, or like aluminum, whatever you want to call it.
Just something that looks a little more, something that's reflective, that looks a little more legit. Like, I don't want, if I'm going to get something. I mean, especially after spending that much on that Blu-ray, Jesus. I mean, it's in my hands now. And then, even the promo pictures on the website, like, they do have the case that looks like that.
Oh, it's like a sleeve on the promo.
Yeah.
And no sleeve.
Yeah. Yeah,
pretty lame.
The comments are funny on that, but it's like, people kind of feel at gunpoint. Also, like, I have another friend at work that loves Gurren Lagann, and like, I guess they've purchased either some DVD or some Blu-ray, because this is, I think, the first 4K release.
Yeah,
they also have a good number of figures of them. But when I told them the price, they're like, "What the hell? Like, this doesn't even have like the rest of the series in there as well. Like, it's literally just the movies. It's literally just the two movies."
Which apparently just Aniplex is just terrible about that kind of stuff.
excuse me, I have a question about the E.M.M.I.
Oh, cool.
that you
Let's
glossed
move
over.
over to the next.
I'm host. I want to hear about the E.M.M.I. What's the E.M.M.I? Is it it's like a, what was it? Like
Yeah, let's move on to the next thing. I said
You said that you bought the
moved
first
on,
season of
Jason.
Demon Slayer, right? So
Oh yeah, I've forgotten that I actually love just the general soundtrack, like not just the intro and the outro, like everyone likes that
What
Lisa song.
about the E.M.M.I?
But it has the actual
No?
the combat sounds and just some of the more ambient tracks that I like, and the cover just looks really cool. It's like a very sketchy black and white art of Tanjiro, but then as you open it and the CD and you look at the CDs, it has like the water flowing all across it that kind of match like one giant slash across the CDs and the cover art. I don't know. It's interesting. It looks very nice. It's very.
You know what
artsy.
else is interesting, Angel? Is the E.M.M.I. Please tell us more about the E.M.M.I.
I already moved on. I said that's all I had to say.
what did you think of the new Demon Slayer season?
This is dreadful. See what I did
Oh, yeah. So,
No?
I mean, I enjoyed it. I think I watched. I don't think I binged it. I think I maybe watched like an episode a day for a little while. And with the other stuff I'm watching, it kind of felt nice that it was slower, on the slower end. Like, I didn't realize that, how would I know? That they blew up what was in the, no pun intended, because that's a spoiler there. But essentially what was like just like a page or a couple panels in the manga into like whole episodes.
I think it was 8 chapters.
But yeah, they essentially, there was just a lot of, this could have been a montage. Like, if a lot of it's trimmed down later, I probably wouldn't even notice. But I did enjoy some of the little, character tidbits here and there. But honestly, like when we got to like the end, like that ending, I feel like I just kind of forgot about the rest of the season. I was just like, damn.
Yeah, the last episode I saw
I
only
really
saw the last
confused.
episode.
I thought Muzan was the one that triggered the explosion. Because he had his hand out, and then the face of the character. Did we do a spoiler tag or something?
Sure, it's it's fine.
But yeah, like the way it was just framed, I thought like, oh man, he's like unleashing, like he just has that ability, I guess.
But
then it wasn't until you see his corpse flying. Yeah. And then when you see his corpse flying and regenerating, I'm like, oh, that doesn't seem like that was intentional. And then he just straight up blurs out like, oh, I can't believe he did that. And I'm like, oh, that wasn't him. And
yeah,
that
that last episode was really good. I have no idea what preceded it because I when this season was announced, I was like, I don't know how they're going to make 8 chapters into like an entire season. And then it was just like a lot of padding from what I read. I was like, I don't want to do this, honestly. Like, Season 3 was such a disappointment for me.
A lot of, people running, doing push-ups, like, oh, he meets with Tengen. All right, you're going to do endurance training, run around the mountain. They kind of catch up and reflect, oh, thank you so much for helping us in the entertainment district. Oh, it wasn't just me, it was everybody. And then he moves on to the next person. Oh,
to the next Hashira
kind
of thing.
Yeah, and then, kind of rinse and repeat. Like I said, there's always little fun moments here and there, but yeah, I don't think you miss much. Even if you rewatched it, you'd be like, yeah, I get the gist of it. I think the only thing was like, Zenitsu gets a letter, and then he just gets really serious and is like, oh, I have to go do something. Right. And, the next time you see him, he's like, not smiling, and he's like, oh, he looks ready to fight. It's almost like a different character. Yeah.
Yeah, so
yep.
That last episode was really cool, even though technically nothing happens really in it. I mean, Muzan gets blown up and they get transported to the Infinity Castle, and that's all that happens really.
How
over the span of 40 minutes?
Walk from like the entrance of the complex or the property? I mean, just Muzan's a really slow walk. I mean, if it was very dramatic, it was probably one of the most intense walks I've seen in forever.
It was straight up just 2 minutes of him walking towards his ancestor or whatever that character is.
Yeah, it's like because they both originate from the same bloodline, so it's like just a descendant. Yeah, I guess descendant. I guess would be it.
And the Infinity Arc Castle is now split into 3 movies, which is interesting because apparently there kind of spoiler alert. Apparently there is one more arc after the Infinity Castle arc.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I guess I wouldn't know, but I'm guessing
So it'll be
Epilogue
interesting.
City.
It'll be interesting to see if that arc gets animated into another movie or if it's the last season.
Yeah, I have heard something about what happens in the post epilogue, or even like actually,
No. So the next arc after Infinity Castle is still it's not the epilogue. There's still more after the Infinity Castle.
I was gifted a book from someone, from a brother-in-law. I think this is a spinoff. It looks like it's all the Demon Slayer characters in what looks like high school, a modern high school.
I think that's like one of those spin-offs that popular anime do, like that Rock Lee spin-off.
Where everyone looks like
Naruto.
They're in Chibi Land. But I know there's also like a super mega giant time skip, but I don't know if that's like an actual arc or just like a couple more pages of everyone's descendants or something. But either way, I'm definitely super hyped for those movies. I mean, I'm glad at the first it seems like whatever fights we're gonna get are gonna get at least their love and attention. If any of the other movies, honestly, even just the animation in these episodes, like it was brief, but what they did to Muzan, the attacks from like especially the Stone Hashira when he was just kind of blocking whatever Muzan's little pin needle line attack, kind of reminiscent. I mean, you could tell UFO Table loves to draw their spinny whip things. I mean, just given the entertainment arc thing. But I mean, it already looked almost like theatrical quality, if not already. It was kind of crazy, even if it was only like a couple seconds. But yeah, look forward to that.
I hope that they're not spaced out like a year apart. Hopefully, maybe 3 to like 6 months, so that we get an entire arc within the span of a year and a half.
Yeah, I doubt they're going to be a year. It might be a year before we see the first one, but I have a feeling it'll be like they're going to come in quick succession,
like quickly. I remember when they did the quote-unquote 3rd season of Digimon, they released like 6 movies, and I forgot how... I mean, a lot of properties do this. When Persona 3 got adapted into an anime, it was 3 movies as well, and I think they all came out within a year or 2 of each other. Like all 3 of them. Or like all 3 of them came out within 2 years, I think.
Oh.
Don't quote me on that, but...
Wait, and... Wait, did you call it Digimon because that was also UFO Table?
No, just because their 3rd season, like the one that takes place after the 2nd season, called Digimon... What was it? I think Digimon Adventure Tri. That had 6 movies.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Damn.
Japanese film series. The first film came out in 2015, and the third one, and the last one came out in 2018. Damn, so 3 years. For 6 movies.
Pretty cool. Well, hopefully it doesn't take that long, because I haven't read it, obviously. I don't think I have time to read Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer is actually pretty short.
Then maybe. We'll see how long my patience lasts. But, I mean, there's plenty of us as I'm watching right now. Like I mentioned a couple episodes ago, still going through Ace of Diamonds. I think I'm at episode 100 out of like 150 something. And yeah, I mean, at this point, I could definitely say it's my favorite anime up as of now. Like at this point in time, it's definitely my number one. No question about it. But the fact that it still has 50 episodes left, it's like, oh my god, it could all get ruined. But, basically if it ended right now. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that was Anime Expo. I mean, yeah, looking for Demon Slayer. I mean, I guess because throw in Solo Leveling since we're already talking about anime. Have you seen Solo Leveling?
Wait,
I
Angel,
saw
before you throw in Solo Leveling, to put a pin on Anime Expo, because this is random, or Nintendo, what you purchased for the listeners at home from the Nintendo Switch game Metroid Dread comes a Figma action figure on one of the E.M.M.I. It is released last May 2024. It is 16,800 yen. It is 250 millimeters tall, and it has flexible plastic in important areas. Now, please carry on with Solo Leveling.
I have no idea what that has to do with anything.
I saw the first 3 episodes in Spain. I pretty much saw until, I guess, are we getting into spoilers with Solo Leveling? I saw up to where he received the like Solo Leveling program. Well, like he was in the hospital bed.
Yeah.
And that's all I saw.
Okay. Now, I guess
I don't mind being spoiled for the series though. I don't think I have enough time to go to it.
Okay. Yeah, so this series, I got into it through a coworker that I guess got really into the anime, and then they just couldn't wait for, basically, what people did with Demon Slayer, or what you do in general, Kevin. Like, they bought all the manhwa, because this is actually a Korean thing, which is pretty interesting. But, yeah, they bought all the books, they brought them to work, they finished them, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'll check them out, because they kept recommending it. So I read the first 8 books. I think the first 4 books cover the anime, or at least what is currently available. It might just be the first 3, actually. I think it's like split up in those groups. And it's been a while since I've seen an anime like this. I mean, I would probably compare it more to not Attack on Titan. Maybe in tone, because it could definitely be kind of serious at times, but it's definitely just a power fantasy. Like, it's not really a comedy, but I thought the choices they made were pretty interesting. I thought it was going to be a isekai because I knew about like the video game aesthetic, and that's just something that's very common in those kinds of anime, which, it's like, oh, I got reborn in this other world, and now I'm like overpowered.
Yeah, it's got isekai like elements for sure.
But it ended up being a little more than just like, oh, he's overpowered. I mean, like, everything is gradual. Like, you see them get really, really strong. It's essentially because they're in this world where they're the only ones that can actually get stronger. Usually when you unlock your powers, you are stuck at that power level. And that's by some miracle you get something called the Second Awakening, which is super rare. But for whatever reason, our main character has access to something called the System, which, gives them quests, gives them like inventory, gives them like basically the functionality of RPG. They get stats that they could put anywhere they want, and then they see all of that reflected in real life, and every time they defeat anything, they get stronger, and at first it's something they hide, but then later they're obviously so strong that they can't hide it. And the way that they level up and what they choose to get powers in ends up being, at least I found, like, very interesting. Like, they keep it fresh, or they just make cool choices. Like, it sounds kind of maybe cheesy, but they typically end up picking like the most like badass choice they could possibly make, or choices that end up feeling like, whoa, that was really cool. Like, there are definitely some moments as I'm reading it, I'm like, oh man, like, this thing is so cool. I want to see a statue of this, or I want to see this animated like really badly. Like, it just looks like the anime, or the kind of show that's gonna have like really, really cool like action set pieces and that kind of thing. But one thing I noticed, I think I've only seen actually up to where you watched on the anime, like the first 3-4 episodes. Wow. But even just from those 3 episodes, it is very differently paced. Like, the book doesn't really cut to anything else or introduce any new characters until like much later, where the first episode cuts to and introduces like concepts and characters that you'd only see until like book 3 or 4, like where beyond like the first season would have ended. And it's like, like, like it, I guess it does it to maybe create more intrigue, or like, oh, I'm curious who this character is or something. But, it's literally like, you just follow the main character, Junpei. We'll call him Sung. I know that's his last name. And as a result, the book feels really fast paced. Like I felt like I was just like flying through them. I think it took me like a little under an hour to read each one, and I finished them over the course of a week. And yeah, there's some characters and some abilities in there that just feel really cool. It's just like, yeah, like I said, it's like a power fantasy. It's like you're just reading it and you're like, oh, that is so, I don't know, grand. I don't know. The way they defeat people, usually I feel like we've gotten a little desensitized to the OP character trope. At this point, it feels like it's a trope. I feel like you have your Dragon Ball. It's not like that they feel overpowered, but, it's like a ladder. Like, oh, Goku's winning. Then the other dude is winning because he powered up more. And then Goku's winning again because he powered up more. But they're always, like, about to lose. And you got One Punch Man that's, like, straight up a comedy. One-hit KOs everything. Then you had Mob, who, made by the same person, who also, like, kind of destroys everything. A little from kind of a story, but an OP character is an OP character. Then you even have, I guess, even the more wink. It's, like, not even trying to be subtle, that it's just Mob. One Punch Man again, Mashal, which is like if Harry Potter and One Punch Man had a baby. But, yeah, this one, yeah, they don't start OP. I mean, if anything, it's kind of cliche. Like, they start, like, as the weakest hunter fighter in this universe, and, through happenstance, they end up with this ability. Which doesn't sound too dissimilar from a show that's been recommended to me a lot, Kaiju number 8, where someone, I guess, wants to be a Kaiju hunter, and they're really weak, but then they come about this power that makes them OP, but they need to keep it hidden. I think that's where the similarities end. But yeah, I mean, if you just want some fun action, I don't know if at this point it'd be better for you to read it, but it's cool. It's nice. It's not super deep that I feel like I would have to rewatch any of it, like Attack on Titan. I feel like that one I did have to like rewatch the series a couple times as it was airing because of how long the hiatuses were. But yeah, it's fun. I've been enjoying it. It's a nice change of pace from the emotional hits from baseball and, I guess kind of a weird in between Demon Slayer that could be dramatic and a comedy and also just really cool action with a very cool art style. So, yeah, I think the only one I haven't really been watching is My Hero Academia. I don't know if I'm caught up with it or if I'm behind a season.
But I don't remember the last time we talked about it. But the manga is ending in like 3 more chapters. So I think I don't think that they're going to adapt the entire thing in this season. Probably one more final season after this, because there still is another
the whole war in there.
They've already started the war in the new season.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I haven't seen any of that, so I guess I am behind the whole season then.
You saw the Dark Deku arc, right?
Oh yeah,
he, goes off by himself.
Is that considered part of the war?
No, that's right before the war.
Yeah, I think I saw when they raided the building and found some more Nomu, and I think the Miss Midnight.
Yeah.
But
that was before the Dark Deku arc.
Oh damn! But yeah, I did finish the whole Dark Deku arc.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you're not far behind at all.
I do want to finish that story, but yeah, it's like it comes in waves. But yeah, that's.
I do want to recommend some. I do want to recommend something that I've been reading too, a manga called Dandadan. Have you heard of this one, Angel?
Only because I follow G Kids, for their Ghibli releases, and anytime they put an interesting looking movie on Blu-ray, I usually just buy it. But yeah, I saw that they picked up the rights to the distribution rights to Dandadan, and they also had a pretty decent presence at Anime Expo as far as like check out the first episodes here at Anime Expo and whatnot. But other than that, I don't know much about it, but I'm curious. So,
Dandadan, it's about this high schooler, about 2 high schoolers really, a girl, Momo, and a boy, Ken. And Ken believes in UFOs and doesn't believe in ghosts. And then Momo believes in ghosts / spirits but doesn't believe in UFOs. And the first day that they meet each other, they challenge each other to find the other, right? So like Momo has to find a UFO, and Ken has to find a spirit, just to see like, oh, who's right about it, about their like beliefs. And it turns out that in this world they're both real. So that sort of like changes their world upside down. They each get like powers, respectively. Like he gets spirit powers, and she also gets like spirit powers. No one has alien powers, but it's really funny. It's by the Chainsaw Man creator's like one of his previous assistants. To which I learned apparently the Chainsaw Man creator, his assistants have gone on to be really successful mangakas as well. So like there's a manga called Hell's Paradise. Yeah, it's like Hell's Paradise was the Chainsaw Man's assistant. The guy who did Spy Family was a Chainsaw Man mangaka's assistant.
Jesus.
Dandadan is another one, and then there's like another one that has this. I can't find it online, but he has another guy who's
saying I need to find the right
manga.
company, and I will succeed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but regardless, like Dandadan's like really funny. I'm probably about like 35 chapters in. I was super bummed that I couldn't go to Anime Expo this year because they're like I said, they were showing the first episode. And the music in that anime is done by the guy who did Chainsaw Man's music too.
Does it look like it's going to be one of those that will have an ending relatively soonish, or is it like, oh, this could be open-ended and last, like, God knows how long?
Oh, I'm not too sure. I'm like on chapter 35. I think they're only up to like chapter 135. So I have no idea. I have no idea where this series can go. It's so wild. It's so wacky. I love it so much. The characters are really, really fun. The art is really, really good. I think it's a different art style from the Chainsaw Man manga's art, but it's like super fun. Yeah. Dandadan. I can't wait for that anime to come out. I'm so excited. They are releasing the first 3 episodes in theaters, so I'm thinking about checking that out.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, let me know if you go. Curious if that happens to land on a deadbeat available.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet. Oh, yeah, Jason's here.
Hi.
Oh, yeah, Jason.
Question. And George. Oh, great segue. I'll talk about monkeys next. Yes. Question. A while ago, in the midst of all that, you made a reference to Kaiju number 8, I believe. What's the marketing deal with that? Why do they have songs by No Republic and Youngblood on their soundtrack when most animes don't cross over with like Western pop acts? Like how'd that come to be? Anyone know?
Now, that actually has a really great answer that I can't wait to tell you once I find it out. So
okay, great. So you have a homework assignment for next time. Okay. But yeah, because usually, like they stick to the theme songs from the show or some sort of translation. They don't usually hire like One Republic,
I mean, they hire real life artists. Like typically anime openings use, I don't know, think of like if America was doing anime to like
no,
the
that's
actual
what I
level,
mean. Yeah,
it'd be
so
like it wouldn't be any different from like
artists,
Linkin Park contributing.
No,
a song.
I get that. I mean, it's rare that the English releases of anime seem to have like English rock and pop acts on.
No,
right?
No, never.
It's not.
Nope,
oh.
not since the early 2000s.
Wow, I'm so out of touch with anime. Sounds like I need to take a trip to Anime Expo.
I don't know about that, but
you used to,
but
and then you
just be wasted on you.
I don't hate anime. I usually go for the video gamey stuff, but yeah, I did not go this year. This is true. But what I did do, because it's been a minute since I've talked, what I did do is I've been playing Super Monkey Ball, the new one, Banana Mania, which I've been enjoying.
Didn't know that there was a new one.
There's a brand new one. Yeah, they showed it.
Oh, it was announced in the direct.
Yeah, in the direct. Yeah. And I mean,
so Banana Mania, not to be confused with.
Sorry, not Banana Mania. Banana Rumble's the new one. Banana Mania is the 1 and 2 remake. Yeah, they really could not name these words.
so to get confused with. All right.
Yes. So, and I need to preface all this. I do love me some Super Monkey Ball. So the fact that this is the first Super Monkey Ball in like a decade in of itself is very exciting for me. The fact that it turns out to be a game that's actually really good and directly addresses many of the concerns people had with Banana Mania, which is the compilation of 1 and 2, that's even better. So,
but they finally figured out how to work with Unity?
I don't know if it's in Unity, actually. There was no Unity engine logo that I remember seeing, but we should talk. Let's start with those adjustments, actually, because it was like I'd say Monkey Ball now is well enough known that I don't really need to get into the core mechanics. We could just kind of dive deeper. I mean, like, actually, here's something kind of funny with Monkey Ball.
I don't know. Never assume.
Well, here's how I knew. Oh, it's bigger than I thought.
Someone could hear Monkey Ball and think, like, what is this? Like some kind of
anatomy of a monkey. Yes. No, but Rachel's been watching, like, kind of in the background doing stuff. She's been watching Love Island USA, which, for those who don't know, it's like this ridiculous over the top dating show. There's a bunch of single people. They live in these 2 houses in Fiji. They kind of mix and match and couple and uncouple and recouple. But one of the couples, they were bonding over, oh, I used to play GameCube as a kid. Oh, me too. Oh, I played Monkey Ball. Oh, I played Monkey Ball. And they had like this whole elaborate conversation on national TV about Super Monkey Ball. And that's why I was like, oh, maybe enough people do know the game that I don't need to necessarily explain the mechanics. But then again, the same woman on the same show also said she's into Star Wars, and nobody's into Star Wars, her direct quote. So
that is true.
Little weird perspective there. But so there's also that. But the fact that there was even this Super Monkey Ball shout out makes me think I could probably dive into the nitty gritty for a gamer audience who probably does know what it's about. So those adjustments, the fixes from the fixes from Banana Mania. The physics in Banana Mania, for those who aren't familiar, were arguably like the weakest part of the compilation. Everything was a little floaty. Everything was kind of off. Monkey Target in particular, like, weirdly, you felt like a rock the second. Like, there was no inertia. It was very strange. But I'm happy to report is that for Banana Rumble, which is the new one, not only does it feel notably better, but it's customizable to like an insane degree. Like, if you want to adjust the speed of your camera turns, you can adjust the speed of your camera turns. How about the dead zone for the control stick? Sure. How about gyro versus stick controls? Sure. And like, it's just like
that's never been a thing. That's wild.
For Monkey Ball, I don't recall. It definitely wasn't with the last one, which is why so many people were upset with the physics because they couldn't fix it. But like the level, it's like 2 to 3 pages of menu customizations just for like Z-axis, Y-axis, or not Z-axis, but X-axis, Y-axis, dead zone, like spinning the camera, spinning the ball. Like, it was just like the amount of customization to overcompensate for what went wrong with Banana Mania was actually quite impressive. And this ethos of like letting you play Monkey Ball how you want exactly to play it. It really extends to, I think, like every facet of this game. Are you an old school Monkey Ball player like me who, in the GameCube days you play, you fall off the stage, it does that replay, you watch yourself fall from all those different angles. Not on by default, but you want to turn that replay feature on? It's a toggle. If you want to, I don't know, like see all the missions, the secondary missions you could have all level. By default, they're turned off, but if you want to know what they are, it's a toggle. Turn them on. They have a really nice HUD display for them if you do, but it's not on by default. Like, just everything's like, play it how you want, set up how you want, do what you want. If you get stuck in a stage, they have like this helper mode that lets you see a ghost path of how you can complete the stage, or lets you rewind if you make some mistakes, or like different things like that. It's just very like, they're not telling you how to play a game. They're not making you play a certain way. It's just as many options as they can think of, they're throwing in there. And like, they're really just trying to make every potential Monkey Ball player happy, it feels like. And it's I think it's an effort worth pointing out because they do a really good job with it. And that kind of sums up like the whole package. Like, the effort here is just above and beyond. Sega and the developers at, I think the studio is RGG. They're coincidentally the people who do Like a Dragon, but also they're kind of the successor studio to Amusement Vision, who did the original Super Monkey Ball and its sequels. So, like, these are, like, the guys who have always been involved with Monkey Ball, and they clearly put a lot of heart and soul into everything from these options to how it's all packaged up. Like, there's this really great vibe to the whole game. It's, it kind of, like, has this feeling like you're on vacation or going to a resort or something, and that permeates like across all the menus, across the UI. Even if you buy the physical version like I did, it comes with a little 40-page adventure log booklet thing, and that's all like very vacation-y, and it kind of looks like a resort booklet or something. Like, they really, really like put effort into this and made it like, they wasn't just like, let's put out a Monkey Ball game. They really tried to do like above and beyond. And with that kind of like resort vacation vibe, there's also this whole globe-trotting story for why you're running through these stages. Generally speaking, I feel like stories in Super Monkey Ball.
You hear the why?
They apparently,
I guess the other ones did have stories, right?
Yeah, and they're
Dr.
weird.
Monkey did some does a thing usually.
Yeah, do you know some of the weird story stuff that Monkey Ball's done? There's really no reason. Monkey Ball to me is very much a video gamey game. Like it's a game that has a silly premise. You're a monkey in a ball. You're getting tilted around stages, but they it's full arcade, silly. Just you play it for fun. So it doesn't really need a story. But do you know some of the story stuff they've done in the past? Like, do you know the backstory of the character Baby from Super Monkey Ball? This is from a different game.
Yeah, his mother got like euthanized and.
Okay,
he was like orphaned. No, never mind.
Wait,
maybe thinking about something else.
I mean, I don't think they have euthanization in this game, but the story I recall is so there are two main characters. There's Ai and there's Mimi, and they're kind of are they not? They're kind of like a Mario Peach situation. Baby is their baby from the future who came back to just hang out with them while Ai is trying to like sort of court Mimi. So it's like if you're like starting to date someone and then just your future child shows up and just like awkwardly hangs around while you try and like flirt and get into a relationship with like who would become their mother and just kind of
Isn't this the plot of Back to the Future?
Well, good on Mimi for still making.
I guess in a way it is.
I work for it. I guess
it.
Hey, it may happen, but I don't know. Maybe it makes it harder.
Yeah, and that's a good point. It basically is Back to the Future with monkeys. Yeah. But regardless, that's not this game. This game's premise, but just to give you a sense of like the story scope here. But for Banana Rumble, the story is there's a new monkey named Pallet. Her father has gone missing, and the only way to get him back is by collecting artifacts called Oo parts. I'm tripping on my words because I need to make sure I said Oo parts correctly, which is such a name. And those parts get you to a golden banana, and that golden banana ultimately gets you her father. And to succeed in getting these Oo parts, all you do is roll through some stages. There's no real connective tissue between why rolling through the stage and getting the part happens, or why those parts lead to the golden banana, or the golden banana leads to the father. Like, it's all kind of just like, yeah, if you say so. But, they make cutscenes. They're charming. They're cute. They're totally unnecessary. But I think it just speaks to how the devs really, like, poured into this game so much effort to make it feel like a cohesive experience that really, like, has a lot.
Wait, it has actual cutscenes this time? I remember that being a complaint
real cutscenes
in the last one, right? Because they pretty much trimmed them down to like slideshows.
Yeah, and they used to do real cutscenes, but just like the fact that they like are making stories in Monkey Ball. The first game was fine without a story, and the story's dandy, but it doesn't need to be there. But it just I think speaks to they really are trying to go above and beyond with this release, which then brings us, I guess, to the gameplay itself. Super Monkey Ball, like I was starting to say before, it's always been kind of like a video gamey game, like a video game, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that, you're on a time limit, you're trying to get through a maze, you can do it by tilting the stage, like, it's just like, it's a game, like, there's no real reason for anything, but in terms of that actual, like, game and the gameplay, I'd say actually it feels a lot more in line with kind of the old school Monkey Balls and what they tried in later ones, which weren't as well received, like, I feel like these developers must have been the same guys who worked on Banana Mania and porting that over, and they must have like cut their teeth on Banana Mania's level ports to kind of get a sense of how to make a level for Banana Rumble. Because like if you were to have stuck these on as like a bonus disc for Super Monkey Ball 1 or 2, they would feel right at home. Like it really, it feels totally natural. Some of the old mechanics that you used to lean heavily on, like the switches in Monkey Ball 2, where if you roll over a switch, you can like stop or start certain platforms and stuff. Like that's back with a renewed focus. Like it really just feels like they picked up where they left off from the heyday. But they did add a new mechanic. There's a very Sonic-esque and Sonic-named spin dash mechanic. The idea here is that not only can you tilt the stage forward or backward or whatever to build up momentum for your ball as it rolls, but you can have the ball itself get a boost by holding down a button to charge up the ball to varying degrees, and then the longer you hold down the button, the more the boost is. And there's like a little gauge you can fill, and it has to recharge and all that jazz. And I think it's not necessary in the same way that everything else you do in the game is kind of like play Monkey Ball your way. You don't have to use it. One of the secondary missions for each stage is to be able to reach the goal in some outlandishly fast time, and that's when it makes sense to use it. But otherwise, I actually found I didn't really use it very much, which isn't a knock against the ability. I think I just personally tend to go through stages slower in my quest to get every banana. But I think the fact that it can be used as one of many different ways to play the game, kind of goes back to what I was saying before with this core idea that you could play the game how you want, with the physics you want, in the way you want. Like even the roster of characters, I think it's like the biggest in any Monkey Ball. each character handles a little differently. Each one has different weight. Each one has different spin dash, like strength or distance. Like it really feels like they just like, any which way you want to play, we got you. And it makes for what feels like a very ambitious package overall, sometimes almost to a fault. That brings me to the game's multiplayer mode. This is where Banana Rumble gets its actual name. As we've talked about here on the podcast before, Monkey Ball is the latest to kind of jump on the Fall Guys bandwagon, like the Fall Guys-ification of online games. So here, again, even in this mode, there's a lot to it. Kind of like Fall Guys, you have a big group of players. There's 16 players here, and you're kind of chaotically competing against one another in a rotating selection of games that you don't have specific control over which one you're going to play next, just like Fall Guys. There's a season system where you can unlock certain costumes and items to customize your monkey. All these are using in-game points, no real currency, but there is separately DLC you can buy. For like a Sega Pass, you can like be Axel from Crazy Taxi or Sonic inside your Monkey Ball or whatever. And all the costumes you unlock, be it the paid or the ones you get through multiplayer, do work in single player as well. So it's not like they're not like isolated experiences. But yeah, back to Banana Rumble itself. There are 5 different modes that can randomly sort of be picked for you to play. There's one where you have to like just race to the end of the stage against everyone else. There's a banana hunt where you try and get like the most bananas out of everyone else. There's a hot potato type of mode given the excellent name of Baboom because you are needing to keep a bomb away from you and you're a monkey. So of course, Baboom. I love that name. And then there's these 2 like tag teams, or not tag team, but like team based modes where they split the 16 players into 8 and 8, and in one of them you try and race through as many goals as you can scattered around a stage, and they tally up all your points, and whichever team has the most points you win. And there's another where you have to just bonk and beat up different robots around the stage, and whoever beats up the most robots, you win. So that's kind of like the rotation of games, and I think it's here where perhaps the ambition is almost to a fault for the developers, because there's a few factors at play. First of all, it's maybe a bit too intense for the poor Switch hardware or Sega servers or something. But even when docked, there is a noticeable drop in frame rate that can hinder the experience overall. I mean, Fall Guys on Switch also had frame rate woes, so they really are kind of mirroring Fall Guys. But something about it here feels a bit like worse maybe, or more detrimental, or maybe it's just because Monkey Ball moves faster and it's just even more chaotic than Fall Guys kind of is because your bean people kind of don't walk all that fast. Whatever it is though, I'm not sure if it's something that can patch out or patch in over time or not, but it can dampen the experience a smidge. It is noticeable. But some of the other aspects of the design I feel like could use some improvement too. Like you're booted right back to the lobby after every round of a minigame, which kind of kills the flow in a way that like Fall Guys and other similar games have avoided by letting you do batches at once. Like you usually do like 5 games back to back or 3 games back to back. And you also can't pick which minigame you want to play, which I mentioned before. It's kind of like what Fall Guys does. But I don't know. Like I haven't played that robot destroying game yet. And I've been playing this, and I still haven't gotten it in random rotation. It's just like I literally can't, and I want to try. It's kind of like when Splatoon does certain maps, and you just never get to play some maps because you're never online at the right time. It's just sort of a weird, I don't know, like oversight in the design, I guess. And a lot of that can be fixed with software updates for sure. But the biggest question hanging over the Banana Rumble mode for me is whether there'll be enough of like a critical mass for this multiplayer mode to actually have longevity. It's really similar to the issue I was saying a few episodes ago when I played Pac-Man Chomp Champs. Like it's a fun concept, it's a fun gameplay, but it can be a chicken and the egg situation in terms of how you like attract people to play. Like Chomp Champs has the added whammy of only offering multiplayer. Banana Rumble at least sidesteps this with the really good single player mode, which is really good. And that single player mode also has co-op. The adventure mode, as they call it, also supports co-op online and off. So there's a multiplayer draw there that can easily maybe get people to like hop over into Banana Rumble and try that too and get into that. But this is what I kind of mean by the game's like ambitious to a fault. Like the multiplayer mode is a bit jankier due to what does seem to be hardware limitations. At a time it would need critical mass and get people to play. And it's great they have like the season style reward system in there as a gameplay loop. But 6 months from now, like, will the frame rate be good enough? Like, will people still be playing? Are they thinking of introducing new mini games beyond the current 5 to really kind of go like full Splatoon with it and have it be like almost like a live game of sorts? It's a lot of kind of question marks at this point. And And while it's fun enough in its own right, the Banana Rumble mode, I'd argue that like for something that's named Banana Rumble, the big draw here is actually not Banana Rumble, but the adventure mode with its 200 stages. And again, to be fair, that alone, honestly, worth the price of admission if you're a fan of Monkey Ball. Like there's so much happening in this package. There's so many things to do. There's so many customizations. There's maybe you'll dip your toe in the multiplayer mode and have some fun with it. I found it fun, even though it was janky-ish. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of an interesting yin and yang. But I would say, generally speaking, the whole game does feel the whole package, the whole purchase is very well-rounded. See what I did there? Because Monkey Ball. Anyone? I will take that reaction because I've been so excited to say well-rounded. I've been building up to that for so long. I will take it. Thank you.
You pissed off George.
Hey, whatever. I got a reaction. No, but seriously, I do think even beyond Monkey Ball, like Sega's been on a roll lately with a second one. Sega's been on a roll lately. Oh no, but they have been on a roll lately. I think like we talk a lot about like how Nintendo is having this big moment for themselves or a new high and everything. I'd argue Sega is kind of going through their own renaissance too. Monkey Ball being an example in part, like giving Super Monkey Ball as much attention as they did at Banana Rumble. The upcoming slate of their old IPs they announced at the Game Awards last year. Obviously, the resurgence of Sonic with the movies and whatnot. It really does feel like Sega's kind of firing on all cylinders right now. And if the quality and attention to detail that Banana Rumble got is any indication, a weird performance of Banana Rumble mode aside, which may be due to the Switch and not anything on Sega's end, I'm excited to see where they go from here. Like as is, stories were coming out the other day that like the original director of Crazy Taxi is coming back to do the new game, which I think bodes so super well for that. So yeah, I think Sega's been doing good. I think Super Monkey Ball is the first of hopefully many examples to come of how good they're doing. I think it's a great package. Multiplayer, there's room for improvement, but overall, it's like if you're into Monkey Ball, you'll be happy with this, because like I said before, and I'm going to say it again, it's so well-rounded. Thank you. I'm standing up and doing that thing where you put your hands together and shake them above your head, but no one can see me. But that's what's happening because I'm so proud of that pump. But no, yeah, I do really like the game.
Donkey Kong does. Yeah,
exactly, because he's also a primate. So, keeping it in the genus. But yeah, no, that's Super Monkey Ball. I hope it wasn't too rambly, but yeah, no, there's a lot to like here, and there's some stuff they can improve, but it's solid game, solid time. But yeah, what else have we been consuming, guys, in terms of media? Or are there any questions or additional puns you would like to hear about Super Monkey Ball? I can come up with some.
Absolutely not.
Wow, that was a really fast response. All right, Kevin, in that case, I'm going to throw it to you because I just see written here, and we can talk about the bear in detail, but I see written here the boys/bear switch-up rant. So consider us talking about Switch.
Not Jan. Go for it. June 27th was an important day in this country.
It's when Monkey Ball came out.
It's when Monkey Ball came out, yeah.
I believe. I think that was the day, and I'm not kidding.
I think it was June 25th. I looked it up because I was interested who is still developing this series, and then I read that it was
you're right, it was June 25th. Well, that week of June was an amazing week for content, I guess.
It was an amazing week for content. We got
Balls
Super Monkey
Bears.
Ball, Banana Rumble. We got two geriatrics on stage, duking it out.
Yep.
Let's talk about the debate real quick.
Go ahead.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm like, where are you going with this? Go ahead. Let's see how many listeners we can alienate in a 2-minute stretch. And go.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. That was this country's cooked. But also on June 27th, something very near and dear to my heart, besides this country, The Bear Season 3 was finally released. 10 episodes.
Heck yeah.
Oh, we got a bear.
Oh, shit,
we got a bear for the bear. I've also seen all the bear, but please continue on. Yes.
Wait, say that again?
I was saying I've also seen all the bear, so I will probably piggyback off you, but please take the lead here.
No, absolutely. Angel, you have not seen the bear yet, correct?
That is correct.
Have you seen any of the bear?
If by seen you mean heard one of the actresses' voice in Ninja Turtles, then a pretty good amount, actually.
Okay, then that's
that
perfect.
counts. He's seen it. Yeah, he saw animals and he heard her voice. It's close enough.
Perfect.
Bear's an animal. Yeah.
I mean, I recall Jason saying that she's basically the same character.
She has the same mannerisms. Yeah. I feel like in a lot of what?
Sarcastic, witty.
Yeah, exactly. Dry. Yeah. Kind of responding to things with sort of a question that's not really a question. Yeah.
Okay, well...
she's great, by the way. Everything she's in, I love. But she was great on SNL as well, actually. She really committed.
Yeah, The Bear Season 3, just continuing my passion for the show. I loved it. It's definitely the weakest season.
Yes.
But like, just because it's weak doesn't mean that it's bad. Or at least in my opinion, it's not bad.
Also, yes. No, I'm with you. I think the outrage, for lack of a better term, on like the Bear subreddit and stuff is way overblown.
I mean, and like some of the weakness does have to do with the fact that FX wanted an extra season of the show. And this is even like what would you call it? The title screen? Or what?
Like
basically, it starts at the beginning. It starts with The Bear Part 3, which the other two seasons didn't start with like The Bear Part 1 or Part 2. So even like as soon as this season started up, it was really interesting.
Wrong. I think the fact that they didn't market it as a split season like Breaking Bad did, like Stranger
Things,
as
season 3 Part 1.
Yeah, I think that hurt it because people thought it'd be a full story, and it's definitely half of a longer arc. Like it stops right in the middle of the arc, arguably. But
yeah, it literally ends on
story. Yeah,
it literally ends on a to be continued.
Yeah. Right when every plot line that went beyond one episode is like peaking at the same time. Yeah.
Which it's interesting because I've read that Bear subreddit is just a mess right now. But
it's a trip.
Yeah. One of the things that I did read that shouldn't necessarily save itself from people, from like the detractors, was it's actually really interesting if you see this as a continuation of season 2.
Okay.
And I would say that like, yeah, it absolutely works as a continuation of season 2 and not just season as a new season.
Well, it almost picks up, I said, like the next night even, right?
Like, it picks up the very next morning from
next morning
from the end of season 2.
Yeah.
Like I said, even if you don't take that into account, you don't have to. Obviously, this was marketed as season 3 and should be critiqued as such. But like I said, that I didn't mind it. I thought every episode was at the very least solid, especially like the first 3 episodes. I think are just as good as anything in season 1 and season 2.
Episode 3 is so tense.
Yeah.
Doors is the name of the episode for those who are trying to get reference. I love that episode so much. I love I really like the character building, but I really like the like almost real time restaurant episodes where it's like stuff is just unfolding chaotically. Yeah.
I like the risk that this took because that episode is essentially a look into the first month of the Bear being opened. Yeah. I feel like that could have been the entire season. But instead, they just compressed it to this single nightmare of an episode. Because like even in that episode, there's like storylines within that episode. Like,
oh, totally, yeah.
Richie coming up with his own non-negotiables. The chaos between what is considered front of house and back of house, right?
Yeah. There's a shot in that episode where they show them like the two of them back to back, basically, one in the front of the house, one in the back. Like as if the camera's in the wall. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That is not that episode. That is not that episode. I know what shot you're talking about.
But that shot was amazing. Whatever episode that was, I loved that shot.
I think that's the second to last episode of the season.
Oh, was it? Oh, I got way ahead. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But like that episode in itself, like I said, could have been its own season. But instead it was just one episode. Like the Tina episode was fantastic. Love that episode.
Directed by
I love Tina.
Angel, directed by your Ninja Turtle girl.
Io. Is it Ao or Io?
I think it's... I'm not sure. I want to say Io, but I'm not sure, to be honest.
Well, by the actress who plays Sydney.
Yeah, she directed it and killed it. That was one of my favorite episodes.
Oh, absolutely. Like the entire series. The episode where like Sugar is in labor. Spoiler alert, Jamie Lee Curtis does return in this season.
That was such a great
that episode.
parallel, or not parallel, but like other side of the coin to Jamie Lee Curtis's last appearance and how she was in that episode. Yeah, and Fishes. Like it felt like it was like two sides of the same, like two sides of her personality. Like it was really, I really like kind of not inverse, but like it was very emotional for different reasons, but still involving the same characters, the exact same character.
How did you feel about the cameo in the middle of the season?
Are you talking about someone?
I'm talking about
scene?
I'm talking about a new fac.
I thought it was funny stunt casting. Like when he first came in, I like actually laughed. I was like, "Oh, this is great!" Like seriously. And then as it went on, I'm kind of like, I don't know if he quite fits as a fac, but I really appreciate that they did it. But I also understand that some people are like the stunt casting's getting a little out of control. But I think I liked it more than disliked it.
I feel like that's the only stunt casting that they did this season. I know there's a couple of chefs.
They had Josh Hartnett randomly in it.
Who?
Josh Hartnett from Pearl Harbor.
Oh yeah, Josh Hartnett,
but the early 2000s. Yeah.
But I wouldn't even consider that like stunt casting. No. It's just Josh Hartnett playing a character, you know?
Yeah. To your point about the last episode, I did really like the homage, or not the homage, but like the send up to like the chef world with all these like famous chefs and people. And there were times where like I thought the episode was pretty strong, but there are definitely sometimes I'm like, okay, they're kind of just like gushing a lot about what they do, which was fine because I think it worked well with the story. But I could also see the point some were making where it's like it's a little too like patting themselves on the back at times. But I liked the episode, honestly. Yeah.
Like that first episode, we just very like quickly went over it, but like that very first episode is just like a beautiful short movie.
It felt like honestly the thing I feel like with the Bear this season, it became less so as it went on, but the first few episodes, it really felt like they were like, well, technically we have episodes, but we're releasing them all at once. We know we are, so let's just do what we want. Like the first episode felt like a really great cold open for the second episode and the rest of the season. And I feel like they knew that because the first episode didn't have an intro, and then the second episode had a really long intro, almost like the first episode was leading up to that intro. Like they had like Eddie Vedder like sing a song for like a full 3 minutes as like with like intro credits, and that was until the second episode. So the first one really
and that
like
intro was such a love letter to Chicago.
Oh, totally.
And like it's the workers of Chicago, like that was beautiful too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe I'm just glazing the season a little too much because I do understand the disappointment. I do understand that this season is not going to be everybody's cup of tea.
I think one thing that'll be interesting is the people that were disappointed by this season, because this season is way like in a way smaller. Not that the show is ever big, but it does feel kind of, like the plot didn't move super heavily in terms of direct plot points. It's more like backstory, coloring in characters' backstories. I do wonder how they're going to feel when the second half drops in whenever, the season 4, and it tells at that point full story that season 3 started, that is picking up from season 2. Like it's kind of just loose threads right now, so I'm curious if they'll change their tune once those threads are tied together.
I just keep reading just some terrible. I don't know. I just keep reading some takes like, man, I was really excited for season 3. Now I don't even know if I'm going to watch season 4. Like,
that's
how
silly.
Are you just going to disregard one of the best looking shows, one of the best shows on TV for the prior 2 seasons?
Also,
and
like
all of a sudden, you're not excited to watch season 4 whenever that comes up. Like I said, it's definitely the weakest season, but it's not bad television.
No, and I also think that like they were doing something really interesting when they were like coloring in everyone's backstory and explaining kind of like the things that were, we got bits and bobs about like, oh well, this happened to Carmi and this happened to Tina, and then you kind of got to see it unfold and see like how Tina joined and that doesn't necessarily move the plot like quote unquote forward,
right? But
I thought it was really interesting how they basically built through everything from Sugar having and her mom's interaction and what type of mom she's gonna be to. Like there was just this through line of like the Joel McHale chef that was really hard and abusive towards Carmi. There's this through line that actually Rachel knows, and I was like, oh yeah, it was very much about like how you're raised, how you're brought up, what sort of parenting styles you're exposed to, and how that shapes who you are. And I thought it was all about. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I thought that like if you think about like the theme of this season was really like what makes you who you are. And it's kind of like a little more reflective. Yeah, it's a little bit of legacy. It's a little bit of like how, why. Carmi trying to overcome like the essentially abusive chefy relationship he was in, whatever you want to call that. Like just kind of like seeing how these people were shaped to then understand their actions going forward to the big finale and whatever that turns into. It kind of makes sense. Like at some point you can't just be like boom, boom, boom. Now the restaurant's open. Now it's over here. Now it's over there. Oh, now they have a resi deal or whatever. Like they have to like. It helps explain the motives of characters and really, and the way they were showing like cousin, like how he was with his daughter, which they kind of touched on. Wait, his name. What's his actual name?
Yeah, you called him cousin.
Yeah, I didn't even call him cousin. I know he says cousin. Richie, whatever his name is. Yeah,
Richie.
Yeah, Richie. Okay, I was like second, I guess myself. But the way they like showed, and this started last season. Like we got hints of how he acts with his daughter and how he sings Taylor Swift, and we got hints of like how the mom was abusive to the kid, and then just to see it like this. If you think about it through that theme lens, this is picking up exactly where season 2 left off with those plots and actually carrying them pretty far in terms of understanding these characters and how they came to be. Right. I think a lot of people were like, okay, well, what happens to the restaurant? And it's like, we'll get there. We'll get there. So.
Yeah, and like, to be fair, that is a valid criticism. Like, when it comes to the restaurant storyline, not much happens except for the Chicago Tribune review. That's pretty much all that happens regarding...
came out, yeah.
No, we do know. It's the last episode. They show glimpses of it.
It has mixed, yeah, but it has. Is it overall positive or negative? Because they split the words between good words and bad words.
Oh, it's a mixed review.
It's mixed. Okay, I wasn't sure if they were gonna. Yeah,
because you also see Computer and Cicero, like they blew up his phone.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Which Cicero, Jimmy Cicero, probably my favorite like secondary character in the show. He's so funny. He's so well done. Yeah. The episode where he brings in their friend Computer, and they're just listing a bunch of stuff that they should be doing less. And then Carmi says something along the lines of like, "How about we just do everything less, and then we could like stop wasting our time." And then
that whole interaction,
Uncle Jimmy, like it's not subtle in any single way, but he's like, "Hey, Carmi, why don't you come over here and let's talk?" And he's like flipping him off as he's adjusting his glasses. Like I love that so much.
There's such like a I don't want to say edge, but like there's such a maybe it's just a Chicagoian vibe. Like even the whole like that whole subplot about like being haunted or whatever. It's like I at first was like I don't know what that is, but then as it went on, like okay, I can buy into this. It got a little like that was a weird subplot to have be that big. Like it was like 3 episodes that they ran that gag, but it was funny enough, I guess. Yeah. But,
and so like the switch up on the show just it bothers me because it's also happening along with another show that I really, really enjoy, which is The Boys. You haven't seen any of it, right?
I'm planning to actually start in the next couple of weeks. We're going to do a TV night with some friends, and that's going to be the show we watch. So
then,
tread
Angel,
lightly, please, on the spoilers.
No, yeah. Absolutely. There's no spoilers. Angel, have you been watching The Boys?
I've been really wanting to because I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, that's up already, but I have not gotten around to it. I'm sure when I start, I'll probably finish it pretty soon. Do have a nice clear weekend coming up.
Yeah, like
still 8
season
episodes?
4. I'm sorry?
It's 4 seasons.
Still 8 episodes
per season. So
I think it's at we're talking about The Boys now, not The Bear.
Oh, The Bear was 10 anyway, so never mind.
Yeah. No, I think The Boys is also going to run for 10 if I'm not... It's the same amount of episodes that the other seasons have run. But
yeah, I guess
we're in the halfway point of the season, I'm pretty sure. And like similar to The Bear, I'm enjoying the season. This is, at the same time, definitely the weakest season of The Boys. Especially like after season 2 and season 3, I thought those seasons were incredible. It would have been really hard to top that. This might even be not as good as season 1, honestly. But I just feel like, especially with Twitter, everybody conflates, and not even Twitter, even Reddit, like they don't like this season, where everybody is conflating weak with terrible, and if something is not up to par with the previous iterations, all of a sudden it's the worst thing ever. Like the Bear sucks now, and oh man, when it comes to The Boys, where like one tweet that got me fired up was when somebody said that the latest episode squandered all of its goodwill and is now to the badness of the comic books, which, like, no, those comics are an edgelord's manifesto. Those are really, really, really bad. Like, this latest episode, it was quite honestly probably the worst episode of The Boys. And there is legitimate criticisms to have, but, like, there's some stuff in the comics that are just shocking for the shock value. While, yeah, The Boys does that stuff too, but, like, even the most shocking thing that happens in The Boys, especially in this last episode, doesn't come near to, like, the weakest shock thing in that comic book. Like, those comic books are, man, there's something else. Every single time that somebody, like, is like, no, yeah, this is just as bad as the comic books now, I just lose it, because no, this show went such a different and much better direction than those comics. I mean, those comics are a product of their time. And so obviously you have to update stuff for modern audiences and stuff like that. But, like, we're still talking about a show where somebody enters somebody's urethra and sneezes because of cocaine and blows someone up. You know?
Standard superhero stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, and then somebody was like, "Oh man, you just want safe edgy." I don't know if what I just said is safe edgy. I don't think it's safe edgy.
Yeah, you wouldn't see that on network TV. That would be safe edgy. Would be like network TV violence.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just this switch up on these two shows that have been critically acclaimed in the past. All of a sudden, these seasons aren't up to snuff, and now no one's excited for season 5. No one's excited for season 4 of the Bear. Like, get out of here.
It feels to me like it kind of speaks to the, like, there's just like a general, I mean, think about, and granted, different scale of hate and love, but like something like Star Wars, there's just like this polarization where you either have to love a thing or hate a thing, and there's no in between. You either have to be very in this worldview or that worldview, and there's no in between. You either have, like, everything's so black and white now for some reason.
Which is
and
so
the internet,
weird because...
like, echo chambers it like crazy. Because I've heard bad things about this season of The Boys. And I don't follow anyone who talks about The Boys, but it's just kind of like out there because it's like enough, it's like reverberating enough through the zeitgeist or something. And I'm sure it's not that bad, but I've been hearing, oh, it's a horrible season. And
It's
just
so
like,
weird.
It's okay to say it's just not as good. You don't need to say
Right.
it's horrible. Just say it's not as good. Not hard.
It's so weird because I feel like one of the biggest, like, one of the newest, hottest expressions nowadays is calling something mid. Like,
yeah,
you can't even call the new season mid. You can't, of The Bear or The Boys. It's just straight up bad.
Yeah.
Like, people need to calm down a little bit. And of course, like I said, everything is your opinion, right?
Of course.
If you want to call the new season of The Bear bad, if you want to call the new season of The Boys bad, that is your prerogative.
By all
But
means, yeah.
to sort of just, like, disregard whatever may be coming up, especially on the shoulders of, like, season 2 of The Bear is, like, one of the best seasons, in my opinion, of television of all time. And a lot of people love season 2.
Oh, yeah.
Season 4, all of a sudden, is not either going to be good to you, or it's just going to straight up suck because season 3 wasn't as good as season 2 or season 1. It's just silly.
I think back to the great, and I say this both jokingly and seriously, I think back to the great philosophical minds that are the band Linkin Park. And they have a lyric, and I know this is silly, but they have a lyric in their song Burn It Down. We build it back up to tear it back down. And I think there's some truth to that, as much as silly as that is, and as much as they meant celebrity culture, I think, in the lyric. But there is some truth to, there's a tipping point where something gets so well received and so popular, be it a celebrity, be it a show, be it whatever, that if it makes one little wrong move, yeah, tear it down entirely, and the whole thing was never worth what it was praised for.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't believe I just quoted a Linkin Park lyric. They're my favorite band, don't get me wrong, but I can't believe I just quoted a Linkin Park lyric in, like, a serious discussion about this. But honestly, yeah, like, that is more so now than ever. Like, look at review bombing. Look at, like, oh, people don't like some aspects of The Acolyte because it does new things with Jedi because they're expanding the story and whatever. Oh, well, now Star Wars is forever ruined in every way, shape, and form.
Mm-hmm.
Or, Go enjoy episode 4, 5, 6 and ignore The Acolyte. Not that hard. I'll admit, I'm watching The Acolyte. If Andor's HBO Star Wars, Acolyte's like CW Star Wars. Like, it's kind of like that tier of show. And that's fine. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. If you do want to watch it and you find other things are better, great. But that doesn't mean that the entire IP is forever ruined. I don't get that one. Yeah, at all.
There was one post on the Bear subreddit that I saw that, or I just saw the title of the post because I was so disgusted by like the post essentially was like, oh, I'm rewatching the first episode. Man, this show was way different. No Sherlock. Of course. Of course it's going to be different.
Gonna grow. Yeah.
Yes. No way. No. I can't believe that the show was so much different. Like,
I will say, and this is almost to the point of that post, but I will say, when a show hits a certain critical threshold, and Ted Lasso went through the same thing, they go, oh, we can flex some muscle now. We can get creative. And they will go in like creative tangents, like a 30-minute episode that is almost entirely just shots of food being made, which is what Bear episode. Yeah, like, and that's, you know, for some folks who are like, well, I remember before they got all like the praise and they just did a normal episode. Sure. But like, that's definitely a trend I've noticed as shows get more critical acclaim. They do spread their wings in ways they never would have otherwise. But that's part of the show's trajectory. That's part of the growth. That's what happened. Like, let the creative people behind the show be creative. And maybe you won't like every decision, and that's fine. But like, you know.
Yeah. So that the Bear season 3, I loved it. Sounds like you loved it too, Jason.
I thought it was good. Yep.
Yeah. Can't wait for season 4.
Likewise. I really do think season 4 will sort of be the period at the end of the sentence that a lot of people that didn't like season 3 are kind of waiting for.
Right.
My gut feeling is season 4 is going to lean much more heavily into actions of characters, with all the season 3 sort of explanations of how these characters came to be being the logic to explain what happens in season 4, and it's just going to go boom, 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 is my guess.
And I can already tell that I'm willing to bet that season 4 is a more straightforward season, similar 100%. To season 1 and season 2. And I can't wait until I hear people like, oh, see, they
the Bear is back. They listen to us.
The Bear is back to or it's like, oh, see, the season 4 was a reaction to season 3. I'm like, no, it was always planned this way.
Yeah. A good parallel, Mr. Robot. Remember season 2 and how a lot of people were like, this isn't quite the same because it went in some kind of interesting directions. And then season 3 was like, oh, it's kind of a return to form. I mean, they had to do season 2 to get to the parts they could get to in season 3. And they took some creative risks because they had like the boost from critical acclaim and attention. And they took those risks, and some pan out and some don't. And they still saw through their vision, and it was an overall amazing show. So you just got to ride it out. Not everything's going to be solid gold all the time, but it will. You know, it's there.
It will lead to something. Yeah, like I have enough trust in Christopher Storer, the creator, writer, director of The Bear, to trust that season 4 will be fantastic.
Yeah, and by the way, this whole like whiplash thing where like things get built up and then torn down, gaming happens all the time. A game's critically acclaimed, and 3-4 years later, people are like, you know, what game actually wasn't that good, and then they start.
Elden Ring was not good. Elden Ring was not ever good. Like. Calm down. Like, shut up.
I was gonna say that I'm noticing it with some Zeldas sometimes, where they're like, you know, actually, like I've seen some of that with Tears of the Kingdom. Like, you know, actually, there's a lot of, and I mean, for me personally, I readily say that yes, there's a lot more like manual tinkering you had to do, and that wasn't necessarily my cup of tea. But people that were and I enjoyed it still. That's the key thing I'm saying. I still enjoyed it. But there are people who are like, oh, you know what? You know Twilight Princess? I was so excited for that game. I played it. It was great. But now that I look back 6 years later, it actually was really bad. It's like, no, it wasn't. Your perspective may have changed. But the game's the exact same as it was 6 years prior. Like, chill out. Yeah. And it's fine to have a shifting opinion, but to pretend that, like, the objective quality of a product versus the subjective how you feel about the product, like, people need to understand those are separate things sometimes. Like, it wasn't a badly made game. It just didn't do things you look back on as fondly. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. So, but because polarization of the internet, here we are. Everyone has to always have a hot take, good and bad. I try and do good. I try and only like be excited about things versus disappointed in things. Yeah. With the exception being Twitter. Everything Twitter's done since it was no longer Twitter has been sad, and I want Twitter back in Twitter form. And I will die on that hill.
Yep.
Anyway, I think that my Angel, is there anything else you want to talk about? I feel like Kevin and I have just been
no,
kind
I
of going.
mean, it kind of started with a lot of things in the beginning, so
That's true, you did.
I think I'm good.
Okay, well, next time we all talk, gentlemen, it'll be in about 2 weeks' time, or it should be in 2 weeks' time. Folks may have noticed we skipped a week, so we're kind of now on a different every other week schedule, but we should be chatting right before we head down to San Diego Comic-Con, and what that will entail, I don't know, but one thing I'll probably talk about, because I'll be buying it, the Nintendo World Championships NES Edition, or whatever it's called. That game with the championship
Wouldn't we
challenges.
be right before?
Yeah, it'll be a
Comic-Con?
couple of days before we go. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like 2 days. Yeah.
Hopefully,
so
I will have seen Longlegs by then.
Hopefully what?
I will have seen Longlegs, that new horror movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I'll just have Nintendo stuff to talk about. But whatever we're going to talk about, to make sure folks don't miss it on the World Wide Web, all our listeners, you can subscribe to us on your podcast app of choice. That includes Apple Podcasts, that includes Spotify, that includes Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn. It does not include Google Podcasts, because Google Podcasts is officially dead as of the 1st of this month, but it does include YouTube. Random Nintendo is where you can find us, at Random Nintendo. That's also our Twitter. That's right, Twitter, not X, at Random Nintendo. Individually, we're also on the internet. I am at JSR7 on Twitter and Threads. Kevin is at KVNGomi on Twitter. And Angel is at World of Weros on Instagram for his illustrated thoughts. I don't know if I'm forgetting anything. I don't think so. Kevin, final word.
Read Dandadan.